Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Monday, July 29th, 2024. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. First up, the New York Yankees taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Luis Gil and Zach Wheeler are your starters. Pretty good pitching matchup in this one. I think there's a tough spot for the Yankees coming off that weekend series, of very entertaining weekend series with their rivals in the Red Sox. They have to travel after Sunday Night Baseball. I know it's not a huge travel spot, but still teams that are on the road after a Sunday Night Baseball game haven't really done too well the last couple of years. And when you look at Zach Wheeler, how well he's pitched at Citizens Bank Park this season, sub-2 ERA. He's not been amazing on the road, but 1.77 ERA, a 7.2 record at home, 71 in the third innings with 81 strikeouts. He's in good form. Luis Gil's also, he had a nice start in that last game against the Mets, but the Yankees are 1-4 in his last 5 starts. It's tough to go against Wheeler and a much more available Phillies bullpen. The Yankees used a lot of their relievers in that weekend series, so I got to go with the Phillies in this one on the money line. Next up, the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Detroit Tigers. Tanner Bybee and Jack Flaherty are your projected starters for now. We never know if some trade deadline moves take place. A guy like Flaherty has been mentioned on the trade block for Detroit, so we're gonna have to keep. This week's gonna be pretty tough. You might see some players that I say are starting for a team, and then in the middle of the night or in the morning they get traded to a new team. So keep in mind, make sure you're always looking at updated information. But this is a great pitching matchup, and both of these pitchers have faced the opposition quite a bit recently. They both had success. Bybee struggled a bit in that one game on July 10th. He gave up 4 runs, but he went 7 innings and had 8 strikeouts still. And Flaherty in his last start against Cleveland, 6 innings, no earned run, just 1 unearned run. He had 6 strikeouts in that one. I think we see another pretty good pitching matchup, but I got to say, I really like the way the Tigers, their approach at the plate has just been a lot better recently. A guy like Javier Baez, who has, last couple of years really struggled at the plate, he's starting to heat up, and the Tigers overall in the month of July, much better numbers offensively compared to Cleveland against right-handed pitching. Detroit's top 10 in both team OPS and isolated power against righties. The Guardians are ranked 29th in baseball, just better than the Chicago White Sox against right-handed pitching and team OPS. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Tigers in the first 5 innings in the full game on the money line. Next up, an NL Central matchup between the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds. Jameson Taillon and Carson Spears are the starters. And Spears missed 1 start with an injury, but he had a clean MRI on the shoulder. I'm not really too worried about that. He was pitching pretty well before the injury, before the first half of the season. Strikeout numbers were starting to pick it up. And when you look on the other side, Jameson Taillon's pitched well recently. He's pitched well overall this year with a sub-3 ERA, but has not really had a lot of luck at Great American Ballpark in his career. Of course, he pitched with the Pirates the first few seasons of his career and had some experience, about 40-plus innings at Great American with an ERA above 6. Not really what you want to see. The Reds in the month of July have pretty good numbers against right-handed pitching, and while the Cubs' bullpens improved big time in July, I don't think it's going to be enough here. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the New York Mets. Simeon Woods Richardson and Jose Quintana are your starters. I really didn't like the matchup for Woods Richardson that last game against the Phillies, but he proved me wrong, pitched well in that game. 6 innings, a shutout ball, only 3 base hits, he had 5 strikeouts. The Twins didn't back him up offensively in that game, but against Jose Quintana, I think they will. And when you look at Woods Richardson this year, very consistent starting pitcher. He's only given up 4 or more runs just twice this year, and there's a reason why the Twins are 5-2 in his last 7 starts. Quintana, I've mentioned, a 4.02 ERA, but some of the worst expected numbers in baseball. I can't back him in this one. I got to go with the Minnesota Twins in this game on the money line. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Boston Red Sox. Logan Gilbert and Nick Pivetta are your starters. Now, we saw Nick Pivetta struggle in that last game at Coors Field. It really wasn't a surprise, and it was more of a surprise to see the Red Sox as a -150 or -160 favorite in that game, considering that Pivetta going into that started an ERA above 17 in his 2 starts at Coors Field. But nonetheless, I think Pavetta's going to be much better going forward. He returns to Fenway Park, which, he's been better on the road this season, but still, he's got great strikeout stuff, and that's an issue for a Mariners team that strikes out more than any team in baseball. I think Pivetta bounces back. I don't think it's going to be a perfect outing, but definitely a lot better than what we saw last time out. Logan Gilbert, he was a little bit shaky in that last game against the Angels. He went 6 2/3, but gave up 5 total runs. Now, the defense didn't help him out. There was 4 unearned runs in that game, but still, somebody that's considered a stopper or an ace-like pitcher in the rotation. The Mariners are just 1-3 in his last 4 starts, and 2 of those losses were to the Angels. Not really what you want to see. The Red Sox are a very tough lineup right now against right-handed pitching. I think they get to Gilbert for a few runs early. I don't love that Red Sox bullpen, especially after that weekend series where they used a ton of their relievers. So I'm just going to go with the first 5 innings Red Sox money line. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Nathan Eovaldi and Andre Pallante are your starters. Nathan Eovaldi's not been great on the road this year, but his last road start was one of his best starts of the season. So 7 innings, a 1-run ball, 7 strikeouts against the Astros. I think Eovaldi will be fine on the road going forward. The Rangers are now 4-1 in his last 5 starts. He hasn't been perfect. We've seen him give up some home runs recently, but I still think he's a better option in this game. Pallante's pitched well, but he's also faced a very weak strength of schedule recently. I think the Rangers can get to him for a few runs, and believe it or not, the Rangers bullpen in the month of July has been better than the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen, ERA-wise and xFIP-wise, so I'm going to roll the Rangers on the money line on the road. The Atlanta Braves taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. No official starter for Atlanta, but Colin Ray is your starter for Milwaukee. And when you look at Colin Ray, and the expected numbers aren't the best, the expected ERA is pretty steep, but I will say recently he's been a lot sharper in terms of he's able to miss bats. He's had 15 strikeouts in his last 10 2/3 innings. He's not giving up a lot of home runs or sharp contact, only 2 home runs his last 5 starts. The control's been better, so if he continues to pitch like this outside of that one game against the Pirates back on July the 9th, I think he'll be a great option for Milwaukee going forward. And the Brewers are 4-1 in his last 5 games. The Braves have actually not been great against right-handed pitching in July. They've crushed lefties, but they're well below league average in OPS against righties. I'm going to go with the Brewers in this game. I trust their lineup. And that bullpen in the month of July has not been the sharpest. It's got a 4.10 ERA, 4.15 xFIP, but I think it'll be good enough here. I'm going to go with the Brewers on the money line, but not my favorite game on the board right now. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Chicago White Sox. Alec Marsh and Chris Flexen are your starters. This is a game where I just have to go with the Royals in this one, even though they're 6 games below 500 on the road, and March has not been the strongest recently. Didn't have an amazing start against Chicago at the beginning of the year. I still have to go with Kansas City because they just got to Chris Flexen for 7 runs back on July 19th, and the White Sox have lost 15 straight Chris Flexen starts. They have not won a Chris Flexen start since May 8th of this season. It's just, maybe this is the day. Maybe they break the streak here, but I can't back it. The Royals are, like I said, not a great road team, but I think they'll do enough here. They took advantage of their series with Chicago last week where, the Royals, they had a really hot start to the season. They kind of tailed off at the end of the first half of the year. Now they find themselves in 3rd place in the AL Central in the wild card race, but, things aren't looking great right now. These are the types of games and types of series you got to take advantage of. They did it last week at Kaufman. I think they do it here. Give me the Royals on the run line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Houston Astros. Paul Skeens and Jake Bloss are your starters. A lopsided pitching matchup in this one in favor of the Pirates. Now, Skeens was excellent again in his last game against St. Louis. He wasn't able to get the run support to win that game, but I do think he gets the run support here. I don't think Bloss is Major League ready right now, and we see that ERA just below 7. Gave up 4 home runs in that last game against the A's. And, I do think the Pirates win this game, probably cover the run line as well. This is a series where you look at the next couple of games in this series and the projected pitching matchups. I think they favor Houston on paper. So this is the Pirates' best chance of winning a game in this series. I think they take advantage of it. Give me the Buccos on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the final game for the Monday card in Major League Baseball, the Washington Nationals and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Pair of lefties on the mound in this one, Mitchell Parker and Jordan Montgomery. Now, we know 2024 has been a disappointment for Jordan Montgomery. However, that last game against the Royals was definitely a step in the right direction. I'd like to see him miss some more bats, but the control was there. Only gave up 1 run in 5 innings, and the Diamondbacks went on to win that game 6-2. And honestly, even though Montgomery has struggled with the ERA at 6.11, he's been a pretty profitable pitcher. The Diamondbacks have been able to back him up recently, winning 4 of the last 5 starts. And honestly, overall, they have a pretty good winning record when Montgomery is a starter. It's funny, funny enough, he's 7-5 himself with that 6.11 ERA. So it shows you Diamondbacks offense shows up in these types of games. I think they do here against Parker, who has not been great recently. He's given up 11 earned runs in his last 2 starts combined. Giving the Diamondbacks this one on the money line and run line. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.